of Synchrony, and my boss Yash Kapadia. So I will now move forward to this. So the agenda today is a Synchrony company overview, followed by a short OmniPayments company overview. We'll then look at Synchrony's payment modernization, what drove them to modernize, what they were seeking to gain from modernizing it. We'll take a look at the JSON message flow, which gives some clue as to what we're going to talk about. And then finally, just conclude on the success story and why we feel it's a success and why they were happy to talk about it. So just to give a brief overview of Synchrony, who are they? How do they come to exist? Where do they get their name from? Well, they used to be GE Finance, or GE Capital, I should say. So it was a spin-off of General Electric, that bulb company that used to make those lights that stick in your ceilings. But Synchrony, their business is enabling customers to issue private label credit cards or any other type of card, reward cards or reimbursement cards. So if you're an Amazon or a Cathay Pacific or a One Travel or a Guitar Center or a JCPenney, you want to issue a store card, you would go to Synchrony or another provider like it to be able to not only issue the plastic and distribute the plastic to your consumers, but also authorize the expenditure on those cards and the billing on those cards as those cards are used. So this is very much a private label, type venture in the US. And provides private label credit cards for all the major brand. Amazon is not a small customer. Cathay Pacific is not a small airline. These are fairly major customers we're talking about. So their business is growing, and they need to stay in the modern world. So just a quick background on Synchrony itself. They actually have innovation centers within their overall business. So they have an operational business where they keep the lights on, they keep the business running, but they also have an innovation group, which is spread across 3 locations: Stamford in Connecticut, Chicago, Illinois, and Hyderabad in India. And in this organization, they're responsible for maintaining agility, staying agile, testing new ideas, testing new technologies, solving individual client problems as they occur, and improving the speed to market of any new services. So OmniPayments company overview. We've been around since 1995, which puts us in our 26th year. And we started around Omni messaging in the telco space. We moved to a multi-channel model in 2004. We moved into financial services in 2008 when ACI announced the sunset of Base 24. Yes, it has been 12, 13 years since ACI announced the sunset of Base 24. My goodness, where's that time gone? And then in 2013, we moved into the retail, into the point of sale business. We introduced dashboards within the application so you could see what was going on. We implemented fraud management. We introduced biometrics. And then towards 2016-17, we launched our private cloud initiative, which we call Omni Cloud X. And with that, we included faster payments, which is increasingly important in a world where banks need to push value from one account to another in real time. And then through 2018, we embarked upon a blockchain project, and we worked with Visa to help them brand their Visa Direct, Visa Tokenization, and Visa Fraud services globally. So those services are very much underpinned by OmniPayments. In 2019, we launched web services, and we put a particular emphasis on mobile payments. And then in 2021, the year where we are now, which is rapidly coming to a close, we've had much more of an emphasis on Omni Cloud X and expanding the Omni Cloud X rollout around the globe. So if I haven't already said it, we are a multinational company. We're located in Silicon Valley. We're celebrating 26 years with a growing portfolio of satisfied customers. We're still very much dedicated to the HPE non-stop server space. And we serve a market which includes banks, processors, card processors, payment processors, and the retail space and mobile banking space. So our mission is very much to provide low-cost, flexible, intelligent payment services, which are continuously available 24/7, delivered to users wherever they may be on whichever device they choose to interact from, and where institutions can monitor their payments traffic in real time and optimize each customer interaction. So going back to Synchrony and the Synchrony challenges. So Synchrony primarily, and first of all, needed to add modern JSON APIs and interface to backend systems. That was their first requirement. They came to us and said, we've got, we want to do stuff from we want to interact from a browser, and we want to be able to send in JSON messages and launch APIs. So they wanted to launch a modern user interface. At the same time, they wanted everything to work with their existing applications that were written in COBOL and C. Many of us can remember COBOL, but many younger people don't, and I can completely understand that. They wanted a quick development and deployment, as does every customer once they've decided they want to do something, and they wanted it to be cost effective. So they wanted it to impose no change, be done really quickly, and not cost them any money. So we're all happy to do that for them, right? So that was the goal. So as in every modern payment engine, you have at the very core a payment engine that not only switches transactions. So we call it a payment switch, but it's a whole lot more, because it's at its very function, it's accepting and acquiring transactions from all sorts of devices in many different formats. It's interacting at the back end with many different service providers, many different card schemes, many different card hosts, many external services. And it's having to do that at the same time as blocking fraud that's coming in and managing that fraud that's coming in, authorizing where necessary, settling over the course of the day, and then providing that rich data through any big data cloud into Splunk or into Kafka or any other sorts of machine learning engines you may have. All of that done securely while respecting all the PCI DSS regulations, and doing so on a service of ISO, whether it's ISO 8583, ISO 2020, whether it uses REST API, or whether it's using standard SOAP services or services-oriented architecture. This is the nature of the world today. Everything must be browser-based. So that the Omni modules that support the switch at Synchrony include everything from ATM to POS. They provide a single customer view. They provide fraud management. We're helping to authorize, to stand in. We provide them with a mobile application. We provide them obviously with card management as they're issuing cards, with APIs, with replication services so things can be active-active. We provide them all the dashboards. We provide them with all the security. We provide them with token vaults. We provide them with tokenization. A switch, value-added services, Visa-added services, and then fees and settlement calculation at the very end. So, so we're providing them with virtually everything. So going back to the Synchrony payment modernization, at the heart of this is an open API framework. So a user with a mobile phone coming into OmniPayments comes in via an API gateway, and that request can come in over a JSON message or via an XML message, if you like. And we can translate that either from one to the other. So we can take a JSON adapter, feed that through XML, and provide all the services that we provide within OmniPayments through our APIs to sign on, to do an account inquiry, to do a transaction inquiry, to do a statement inquiry, to do anything else that's associated with any of these transactions. So this is a gateway that will take a message and perform that translation to allow those back-end services to take place. We also integrate with Azure Cloud. So coming in from anywhere, it's a customer app coming from a device, coming through the internet. We can handle that through an API gateway. We can then take that through an Azure instance in the cloud, which then comes into an OmniPayments data center, which itself is a private cloud, and then switch that through to an authorizer data center, wherever that authorizer may be. So we say that client programs can communicate with OmniPayments using Azure. And the same thing goes for Amazon Web Services. Just substitute the Azure instance for an Amazon Web Services instance, and you have exactly the same picture. So we are very much offering that cloud service. One of the key parts of any payment switch is Swagger. Swagger is at the heart of payments APIs. And so we support that as well. And this is just an illustration of how a simple Swagger script looks in order to be able to post an HTTP request to deliver that package over Swagger. So in Synchrony themselves, the JSON flow involved working in a hybrid environment. So like many of our Tandem customers today, many of our non-stop customers today, they don't only have non-stop, they have many other systems as well that we need to interface with. So they were looking at a load balanced automatic failover solution. They wanted their front end host to come in through a concentrator, then route to either one or two of the non-stop systems. So there's a load balancing function going on between the Synchrony concentrator and the two non-stop systems. And then both of those systems could route their transactions to either of the the back-end Linux systems where their legacy applications were still running and where they wanted those messages to be delivered. So what we gave them was a true 24/7 automatic failover configuration, active that would ensure that the request coming from their front end would be able to communicate with the back end. So the way we did that as a next step was to allow not only the front end to go over an MPLS link into a pathway server at the back end, but also via a gateway to do XML to IPM conversion, or do via a REST API to do the JSON to IPM conversion. So we were taking messages, no matter whether they're in XML or whether in JSON, to put them into an inter-process message, something that Pathway could easily understand with no changes to Pathway environment itself. So we kicked off this user modernization project in the late end of 2018. And I'm pleased to say we completed it in 3 months, delivering in early 2019. So this literally was a 3-month project. And we effectively moved them from a FAT-based client platform into a browser-based solution, which technically sounds like a development effort. But in terms of benefit, in terms of what this meant to Synchrony, it was immensely powerful, because it meant that no longer did they have to roll out a new version of their FAT client to every client installation every time there was an upgrade. They didn't have to live with a situation where the client said, "Oh, sorry, we can't upgrade right now because our version of Windows we need to fix the version of Windows first." With a browser-based solution, Synchrony can simply change their back-end host to provide the service that they want to their clients. and their clients themselves can take their time and are working through a browser. They're not having to wait for any other dependencies within their organization. All they have to do is use their chosen browser to do that. So the clients are much happier. They have less work to do. Synchrony has less work to do, and they can be more nimble in delivering new capabilities. One of the great things about OmniPayments is you get to see all the payloads going through the system. So as transactions go through the system, you can see them in real time going through. You can look at the ISO bitmaps, the ISO headers. You can see the payload that's contained within the message. You can see if there's any hiccups. You can resolve customer inquiries very simply through a simple browser-based inquiry screen. So for any user environment, forgive me, any user environment where a customer is calling up and say, hey, what happened to my message? My messages aren't coming through, or I've got an unusual result. What do I do? It's very easy for clients to be aided with this, or even to serve this up to them independently. We're proud to say that we provide tokenization out of the box or in the box. Tokenization is a core part of the OmniPayment solution. So we can clear the card, we can tokenize it, we can pass the token through that token into a settlement extract job. We put the token into the transaction log database. We can clear the card transaction, we can settle the transaction. So all of that ensures that the data vault stores encrypted and encrypted data or tokenized data. It reduces the footprint where sensitive data is located, helping to meet the PCI DSS, and simplify security management, and makes the security audits much cheaper and much simpler. We're also modernizing in the sense that we're sharing all of this data with so many machine learning engines now. So Nagios, Kafka, Pentaho, I should say, Oracle, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise at the very center, Splunk, Teradata, MATLib, MySQL, all of these, even Excel. I mean, all these places all of these engines can receive data from OmniPayments. We're happy to share this as part of the application with all of these different engines that help to go into the operational management. So increasingly customers are saying, I want to automate management, not on Nonstop, but actually somewhere else. I want to do it from Kafka, or I want to do it from other engines. I want to do it from my machine learning engine. So they want to be able to interface back into the Nonstop and take action when something occurs. The Omni Wallet itself is a framework. We have the Omni Wallet application that's available. Many customers have their own wallet application that they want to keep, and we're happy to work with them. But with Visa, we help them create this. We do Visa tokens to protect cards. So the stored device access number or device account number is tokenized inside in the phone. We can send money using QR codes. We can enable payments using QR codes. We support NFC contactless, as does the world now. We can help to request money. So students can request money from their parents. We can load money using a credit card or debit card. We can provide transaction history, and we also have a billing and recharges payment portal to enable customers where required to pay their bills. With Visa, we provide value-added services: Visa Direct, Visa Token, Visa CyberSource now being a part of Visa, and the Visa ISO translator. So all of these Visa services now are underpinned by OmniPayments. So the Synchrony result has been an improvement in the flexibility of ISO and XML processing. We're providing real-time balance for authorization and stand-in processing. We've modernized them for their Kafka implementation. So we're feeding Kafka now in real time. We've provided them operational cost savings. So their SNMP open source monitors are now able to benefit from SNMP data. We've improved their fraud management using the OmniPayments fraud blocker. So they're able now to stop fraud in its tracks now, rather than having to rely upon an external post-authorization engine to catch that. So that's helped them save their losses or reduce their losses. We provided them with an active replication environment. We provided them with an online transaction history of over 6 months, which they did not have before. So previously they had to go to back-end systems, they had to open up old files. Now they have all that online history on the system. We provided them with real-time activity monitors so they can see exactly what's going on, which forms part of their whole dashboard environment of OmniPayments. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes my presentation. Are there any questions? No questions at all? Ian, help me.
I can't believe there's no questions on that.
Maybe everybody attended the TBC in Denver and heard it first over.
I believe one of your big sites is a reasonably well-known retailer in the US. Is that correct?
JCPenney, yes.
Oh, I wasn't actually going to say who it was, but
yes,
now.
Yes, it is. Oh, it's public. It's absolutely public. There's no problem with that. They're delighted to talk about us. The JCPenney are absolutely delighted with the work we've done for them, and they've had their own challenges in the bricks and mortar space. Hasn't every bricks and mortar retailer had challenges over the last 2 years? So they're delighted that their costs have gone down by 2/3. I think it's an amazing saving they made over their old base 24 system. I mean, literally 2/3 it cost them.
You've stunned them into silence.
I have. I can't have told them everything about.
I know, it's amazing.
You got to think they've heard it all before, surely.
So, a question for you then. So, I mean, unless anyone else got one. In terms of the customer base, you've got OmniCloud, and you've effectively got what is a software license that runs on premise. What's the sort of split between customers in terms of on-prem and using cloud? Do you know, Craig?
Well, it's an interesting question because, of course, much like HPE, which is very busy promoting GreenLake right now, we have had cloud customers for at least 3 years. So I think we were fairly early in the cloud space, and what we're starting to see is that anybody who's new to Nonstop just doesn't want to run a Nonstop. They just don't want. They just don't care. All they want is a payment switch that they can plug into. They want the benefits that a payment switch brings them, but they don't want the headache of hiring, finding the skills, managing everything you have to manage on a Nonstop system. And who can find non-stop programmers these days? I mean, it's a challenge unless you run. I mean, we tend to run Eclipse, so we take grads out of school and we use those, but they don't even know they're programming for non-stop even. You know, it's so that's been our take on that market. But to answer your question, we have customers transitioning no, that's a bad word. We have customers who are transferring their operation from an on-site installation into cloud right now. So we see it even with existing customers wanting to do that.
And are you seeing hosted as well as opposed to true cloud? So I mean, you know, someone is hosting that, and maybe the customer is managing it, or you're managing it on a, you know, in a hosted data center, or not particularly.
So yeah, I mean, we get several words here, don't we? We get public cloud, private cloud, hosted system. And each of them has slightly different requirements. So how much
I'm thinking not your own data centers with your own cloud or
right.
That. I'm thinking, but it's obviously the customer themselves maybe is exiting from having their own data centers. So it's that hosted sort of thing. I know typically if you look at it, I mean, Equinix is a big provider of hosting services. You know, you've obviously got I forgot what they call themselves now. Brain's gone dead. When we got rid of enterprise services, it'll come to me in a minute. And obviously IBM does a lot of that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, yes, indeed. I mean, we're very much a private cloud business, so we recognise that we're not necessarily going to launch. You're not going to be able to do an Amazon Web Services or an Azure Web Services and spin us up in 5 seconds. That's not the model. We're very much so we're looking after the data centers. It's our data center, if you like.
Okay.
They're just located in different parts of the world, and that could involve talking with Equinix, for example, in a location where we don't have. We're certainly not building our own data centers. We're not in the business of building.
Okay.
Yes, buying land and building it.
So sorry to interrupt, guys, but we've overrun a bit here, and everybody's. I think Mark's waiting still in the main one.
Okay. All right. We'll stop recording and.